Stellar is owed $13.2 million as money they lent out to Genesis in order to get a little bit of that interest. We're going to talk about the impacts of that on Stellar, on XLM price, giving you a deeper dive into, well, what does it look like when a company is on the hook for $13.2 million. That's some big bags. So if you're listening, you want to get deeper information on what kind of impact this has on a company. Remember, you can apply this to all companies out there. I will show you how, but specifically, we're going to talk about Stellar Development Foundation and if a 13.2 million hit is going to make any difference to them. All right, let's start off with the heat map. XLM right now sitting right above that 9-cent mark, sitting at 9.07 cents, down almost 4% last 24 hours. Broader look across the market, see some softness. ETH down 4%, Bitcoin down 1.13% last 24. A lot of pullback from most recent highs, but remember, if we zoom it back to a week, let's just keep things in perspective. We are still way on to the positive side. But let's get into it right now. The Stellar Development Foundation, a nonprofit organization, is owed $13.2 million by Genesis, the bankrupt crypto lending firm. And I also want to say, in terms of like a business decision, think about this. They do tons of different investments out there. There are tons of different startups and different apps and stuff like that that Stellar is involved with, either whether it's direct donation, operational help, networking help, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of projects out there that don't always succeed. So don't look at this as a bad thing. No, you have to cast a whole bunch of lines out there and see which one yield back some big juicy fish. So don't look at this as a bad thing either with them doing, it's just they do so many things, you're bound to have certain programs and projects not work. That's right, Stellar comes in as a top 50 creditor, okay? Stellar Development Foundation are also among the lenders' top creditors. That's right, they made the top 50 list. Now, how does this work when they lose that kind of money? What can they expect to get back? Well, first, let's talk about what kind of impact that has, on someone's books and where that money goes. It's not as bad as you think. Okay, so I've got up Coinbase's books right now, and what I want to explain regarding this is you can apply this to Stellar Development Foundation books as well. Every big time company out there, right, is using a form of this that goes even deeper than what you see. So right up here, you see sales, marketing, general administrative, restructuring, interest expense. There's a whole bunch of different buckets that go into these companies' financials. And each one of these buckets represents something specific that you want to quantify, okay? And even within what you see here, sales and marketing, you're going to see a whole bunch of things listed within that bucket that makes that bucket too. So these get broken down into subgroups as well. A lot of these financial documents, like the full raw extrapolations, are like hundreds of pages long. There's tons of lines, tons of line items. Well, anyways, getting into this, when they make these, these programs, right, with Genesis, this was, hey, we're going to give you money, you're going to pay us interest, so it's going to hurt their income, right, because there was a projected interest hurt there. We'll get into that soon. But before, where did the money go? The money was already accounted for. So when companies make these budgets, these buckets, they give them certain amounts to work with. So when that money was lent away in the first place, that money was already off the books. It wasn't even there anymore. So even if it's lost completely, it's just a loss, right? It's already off the books, right? It's already something that's not a tangible asset anymore. Was there money that they were going to get back with interest payments? Yes. Okay. Now that affects your revenue, how much money you'd be getting in, okay? And just to put some context behind the numbers here, this is totally rudimentary right now. 13.2 million, 10 years, 6% is $146,000 payment every month. That's what Stellar would be getting. Think that's not many salaries, right? I mean, that gets eaten up pretty good. But think about that over the year. Yes, it is well over $1.5 million per year that they do miss out on the revenue portion of their upcoming book. So we have to see that projection being taken into play. So now we know of 13.2 million. How much would that affect Stellar's revenue? I mean, honestly, interest that you would get back from that is not that much. And I mean, even if it was a high interest rate to cover a risky asset, right? A risky loan to them, I wouldn't see them going too crazy above prime. But obviously, there's going to be some hurt money being paid. But interest-wise, that's not that much, right? You're not making that much. That's not going to like keep the lights running, if you get my point. Yes, it's money. Don't get me wrong. It's money that you're not getting anymore. But it's not like going to destroy the book's money. So now my thing is, what do you do with the $13.2 million, all right? So remember, this was already accounted for on the books and went to, a company, went to Genesis, right, for the loan. But now, let's say you get some of that back. Let's say you get 50% of that back, right? bankruptcy courts to go through this quick, because remember, lawyers, once the lawyers get into it, man, that's money being taken out of the pool, right? So if you want Stellar to get back as much of that money as possible, you want this to go through bankruptcy as fast as possible, right? Don't let the lawyers eat away on the charges. So just go by half of that. They get six and a half, whatever, million back. How cool would that be? Because remember, that money was already accounted for, taking that money and dumping it back into current projects that are already launched on Stellar. That money was already done, right? You were taking a loss on it. Genesis can't do crap with it. All right, we'll take our pennies to the dollar. That money's been accounted for. It has nothing to do with daily operations. That's in a bucket, like I showed you guys. These companies all have their own buckets. They all call them different things, okay, and they're all labeled. But Stellar has that off their books. Why not then take that money, whatever you get, pennies to the dollar, dump it back into current projects? So let's sum it all up and put a pretty little bow on it. In short, this does not affect their daily operations at all, because that money has already been accounted for and spent on their books when they gave that money to Genesis. Yes, they will have to re-budget the amount of income that they're coming in, but that's an easy quarterly adjustment, nothing big you have to worry about there, because the amounts weren't that crazy. Yes, but I do understand any money coming in is a good thing, but that is an income loss that they have to account for, which means somewhere they're going to have to come up with that savings to balance those books out, right? That's how companies stay afloat, right? They stay above the problems that they're dealing with. So we've got that. So it doesn't affect it. It's not going to affect the price of XLM, because again, this is money that was already taken account for. Anyone out there investment-wise is looking at this thinking the exact same thing. All right, these are their books. This is it. This, whatever. Okay, whatever they get back, great. My thing is, with that money that they do get back, they will get something back from Genesis. Okay, they will get something back from that. There are assets there. Any of that money that they get back, I believe, should be dumped right back into the Stellar ecosystem. Disperse it amongst projects that are working and still active right now. It's already been budgeted. Let's get any money you can back into people that are making it. Reward the community people out there. Help them expand. Help them back them up with promo programs, right? Hey, you know what? Maybe matching funds for opening accounts on Stellar ecosystem projects. There's lots of things we can do down there. Speaking of which, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this deeper dive, and let me know what you think they should do with any money they get back from Genesis in the comments down below. I'm very, very curious to read. Now this video right here, deeper dive into the information that you are totally interested in. Stellar stuff, that's right, everyone. And until more news breaks, I'm going to chill out, and you cool cats, have a great rest of your day.